Today we're going to learn how to name and write formulas for molecular or covalent compounds. So first we have to identify if a compound is covalent. So what you're going to look for is two nonmetals. So if you're looking at your periodic table, you look at that bold staircase and you're looking for two elements to the right of that staircase. Molecular compounds bond in a different way than ionic, so there are no ionic charges. And two nonmetals can combine in more than one way. So for example, CO is carbon monoxide and CO2 is carbon dioxide. We're probably familiar with both of these compounds, and we know that they are very, very different. So even though carbon and oxygen combined, they bond in different ways and they make different compounds. So you can't just name it carbon oxide. Okay? There are very big differences between CO and CO2. So when naming molecular compounds, we use prefixes to tell how many atoms are present. So down here are the prefixes for 1 through 10. 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. And then the second element always ends in "ide", just like we were used to with those binary ionic compounds. And then before we get into naming, there's just a couple extra rules when it comes to naming covalent compounds. The first one is no double vowels of the same letter. So for example, it's monoxide rather than monoxide. And if the first element is a single atom, then you do not say mono. All right, so here are our practice problems. So we have CO. If there's no subscript written, it's implied 1. Okay. So C is carbon. And then O is oxygen, and we're going to end it with oxide. And there's 1, so we're going to use the prefix mono and combine it. So it's carbon monoxide. Next, we have CO2. So C is carbon. This time we have 2 oxygens, so it becomes dioxide. Next we have PCl3. P is phosphorus, and then there's 3 chlorines. So the prefix for 3 is tri, and it becomes chloride. And last we have N2O. N is nitrogen. There are 2 of them, so if you have a subscript of more than 1, we do use the prefix. So it's dinitrogen. And even if that second element is single, we use mono. So it becomes dinitrogen monoxide. All right, now we're going to learn how to write formulas for molecular or covalent compounds. This time we're just going to look at the name, and the prefix in the name tells you the subscript. So then we'll just write the chemical symbol. So for example, we have tetraiodine non-oxide. Okay, so we look at the prefix tetra. Tetra means 4, and the element is iodine. So we write I4. And then non-oxide comes from nona for 9 and oxygen. So it becomes O9. So one thing I want to point out is for molecular compounds, there's no crisscross rule like there was for ionic. Okay, if tetraiodine, it just goes directly to the iodine. Okay, the nona for oxide is for the oxygen. Okay, so no crisscrossing subscripts. All right, 2 more practice problems. So we have sulfur, which is S, and then trioxide. Oxide is O, and tri means 3. And then we have phosphorus, pentafluoride. Phosphorus is P, fluoride is F, and penta means there's 5.